are now live. Whew, yes, we are live now. Welcome to the Grand Scale Motivation Show. If you were with us earlier and you did not get to meet with our guest, Cheu, then you are lucky because now she is back. So I want to introduce our guest for tonight. We're going to be talking about a subject that's very, very important in the entrepreneurship space, and that has to do with pitching for investments. And I could not find any better person to come through and present on this except for this fantastic friend of mine who is the founder and CEO of Medtours Africa, a business that specializes in enabling healthcare treatments access for all, regardless of financial background, geographical location. She founded the company after the loss of a close relation due to the unavailability of medical treatment. She has won multiple awards in her business, some being top 100 world leaders in healthcare, 2019 and 2020, Businesswoman of the Year, Megafest, ZNCC, you name it, within Zimbabwe. Most of her awards are international level. She helps in the health sector, getting people to get access to, healthcare. Her company has reached in Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa, but her reach is pretty international. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Cheu Pswarayi. Cheu, welcome. Welcome to the show, Cheu. Please greet our guests.
Thank you very much, Una. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. And hi to everyone listening in.
Okay, fantastic. You guys will have to forgive us because sometimes...
Hi to everyone, all the business people out there.
You guys will have to forgive us because we have a lag time of around about 30 seconds. My connectivity between her here in Cape Town and where she is in Harare, I don't know what's happening. But we've decided we're not going to stop this show just because of that. So, Cheu, please, the first question I have for you is, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Up to the stage where you have started now as an entrepreneur 10 years ago.
All right, so thank you very much. Well, I grew up in Highfield, which is a high-density suburb in Harare. I went primary school there, and then for my high school education, I went to Monte Cassino, which is a mission in Macheke, just after Marondera. Soon after Monte Cassino breeds fine ladies, if you ask me, but no one is asking. So straight after that, I went for a 4-year apprenticeship at Air Zimbabwe and studied avionics, which is electrics, instruments, and radios on aircraft. Very exciting, 2 years of theory and then 2 years hands-on experience. Soon afterwards, I got a job in England, in Bournemouth. I worked there for 3 years as an aircraft maintenance technician. And then afterwards, I came back home. I wasn't happy. I think in a nutshell, the reason I came back to Zim was I wasn't happy in the UK. And I wanted to start my own business. I wanted to fly. I wanted to be a pilot. This was a big dream when I entered aviation. So I figured I could raise the money to fund my flying faster if I came back home and did my own businesses to fund my flying, because saving up wasn't working. So I came back home, and in 2011, I started my first company, CJV Medical Supplies. It's still existing. And it's a company that focuses on medical equipment, access to medical equipment and medical sundries for anyone who needs it. 4 years later, I then started Medtours Africa. And like you mentioned in the introduction, this company was started when I lost my aunt, my mom's sister. She was diagnosed with a medical condition, a cardiac condition, and the treatment wasn't available here in Zim. It's still not available. So she had to travel for the treatment, and she was referred to India. Unfortunately, the logistics didn't get into place on time, and then we lost her. So after that experience, that's when I realized that sometimes it's not even about the finance, it's just the access to it and knowing how to go about it. You know, going to a new country, you're ill or you're taking care of someone who's ill. You need that person who has done the homework before, who's, you know, done the investigations, who will pick you up at the airport. How will you get to where you want to go? All those logistics and the need for them is how I then started Medtours Africa, which has been in existence, officially opened in 2015. The research had started in 2014, the whole year. It took me some traveling, some research online, and then, 2020, we're here. I am sitting down with you and sharing my experience.
Fantastic. It's a great story to hear.
I don't know if the lag is affecting us.
Yes, the lag is affecting us. My second question is coming now. And what I want to ask is, did your journey as you were growing up, maybe at Monte, maybe in your family, have anything to do with your entrepreneurial desire or your desire to start businesses? Which part of your journey as you were growing up do you think contributed to you wanting to venture into the entrepreneurship space?
Well, I can't really pick on one particular incident which I can say this is what started me off. I think I was just attracted to doing my own thing from a very young age. I remember the first venture which I can remember off the top of my head is when my sister and I decided to sell feathers so that we could buy our family Christmas presents. And then we got my mother to buy us some stock. And then we were sitting outside our gate selling those feathers. And lo and behold, we sold all of them. And most of them were bought by my mother for us, but that's of them. And then got to buy the relatives the presents. And then when I was at ASM as well as an apprentice, we used to have flight benefits where you can fly for a fraction of the cost. So I remember visiting my relatives in the UK and then asking people if they wanted some stuff brought over, and then we charged them for that. And that made business sense. And even during the apprenticeship, I would sell eggs, I would sell whatever I could sell. And it was fun. So there's not one particular incident, but I also had a lot of influence from my dad, who raised us with his money from his businesses. He was a very, very good businessman. And if it's in the genes, then it definitely came from my dad, because that's how we lived off him. He was funding us from his businesses.
Fantastic. Great. Great to know. So tell us a little bit about your high moments in your business. What
You
have
might
been some
want
of
to know, though, why I then got into healthcare. So
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, okay. Okay, so I got into healthcare. When I came back from the UK, I then wanted to start a business. I did some research to see which industry I'd fit into. And one of my aunts said to me, "Why don't you look into this?" And coincidentally, that's what I looked at, and I just went with it. I just ran with it. It's been a steep learning curve, you know. I don't have any medical background whatsoever. I did not have any business background whatsoever when I got in. So it was off the cuff, lots of learning and learning from observations. And the highs, there have been so many highs. Just the fact that, 9, 10 years later, I can sit down and say to you, I'm an award-winning business person is one of the greatest highs I think I can say to have. Um, just the recognition and the awards, both nationally and internationally, they affirm, what I am and what I'm doing and all the efforts I've put in. I have had people who have traveled from the medical tourism business, people who travel and then come back and say to me, "Thank you, Cheu, my daughter is alive because you helped us." And
Wow.
there's no humbling feeling. I've never been so humbled than to hear someone say, "My daughter is alive because of you." And it's not even because I gave them medical advice, it's just that I helped them access the treatment that they needed, Creating employment for people, that's also been good. And when you have people share the vision with you, when you have people buy into what you see, and then actually part with their money and invest in your idea. Like, oh no, what I can't top that. I can't top that. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And it spurs me on. That buy-in from other people.
That's fantastic to hear. Thank you so much for sharing those highs. It looks like your highs are coming from a place of impact, a place of getting to know that people are really feeling what you are doing, and also just the fact that you're contributing to the economy. That's really awesome. So now I want to go to the lows. What have been your low moments? Places where you've said, "Oh my gosh, why did I even start in this entrepreneurship space and journey?"
Um, when I came back from England and I started running the businesses, there was a lot of questioning. Have you done the right thing? How could you leave a career which has got guaranteed income and start something which you don't know, about at all? So a lot of questioning on my credibility as the start of the journey really did make me feel low at times. Just trying to prove myself, even though I had a good product, trying to convince the customers, trying to convince the corporates to trust me with their business was tough, and I just felt it wasn't fair to have a good product and then not have people buying into it, so just that questioning, and it still happens. The context might be different, but whenever I want to do something new or introduce something else, there's always someone, or there are always people who are going to question, and those moments can be very difficult sometimes, especially when you're unsure about it, because I want to start something and I'm positive about it, but I always sometimes have some question marks as well. I've also had a few wrong business decisions that I've made, which have resulted in losses of finance, whether it was mine or someone else's. And those moments have been tough, where I see something and I think it's gonna work, and then I start at it and then it flops. Those are a test of character. And what I've learned from there, though, is to pick myself up. I cry. I let myself cry. I'll let you in on it. I let myself cry, but why I am happy when I see myself cry is afterwards I come back stronger than before. And it makes the lows worth it. I'm the best boss I've ever worked for. Did I mention, just to round up the slow parts? I love working for myself, even despite the lows and because of the highs. Yeah.
Wow. What a very honest and authentic response we're getting from you, and I'm loving all that you're sharing, especially that you've lost your money and other people's money, that you've overcome criticism. Maybe before we go to the pitching, I want to understand how you have overcome the doubts and the criticism of people that doubt the ideas that you have when you want to get started, or when you wanted to get started in your business. How do you handle that external negativity and internal negativity?
Yeah. I've managed to handle it because I believe in my product. Like, I'll give you the example of the medical tourism. I didn't start it just because I wanted to make money. I started it because I experienced a need firsthand, personally. So when the naysayers and when those who are against medical tourism started talking about it negatively, you're taking food off our table, quote unquote, or you're not medically trained, so how can you advise? I knew that I had lost an aunt, because those who say they know, or those who say there's a means to an end, were not there and they didn't show up. So believing in my product and how it's necessary is what keeps me going, is what makes me say, you know what, say what you want to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because I believe there's a need for it. And internally, I've handled it through a lot of reading and talking to other people. So just motivating myself, and by listening to others and reading a lot about self-improvement, self-empowerment, self-advocacy, is how I've managed to handle those internal battles, And like I said, I'm not 100% there, but I'm definitely much better than I was 9 years ago. I'm more confident in myself. I have to mention as well, I went for that Mandela Washington Fellowship a year ago, and the exercises there of discovering my strengths, of realizing what I'm good at, and leveraging on that also has increased my confidence and has made me more comfortable in myself. And I know what I can do. I know what I can offer. And I know I am not doing it to rip people off. I'm sincere in what I do and in my product and in my service. So they can come through and say what they want to say. They'll still have my product when they need it because it's necessary. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I love the place of confidence that you've gotten to because of, your self-belief and the things that you are talking about. Now, let's get on to the attraction of partners, attraction of investments, the subject of getting people into your business to help you to start off. Tell us a little bit about your experience in this area, what it is that you have learned when it comes to getting partners and getting investments in your business.
So the first partner, the first person who actually parted with their money to invest in my business, I didn't go outright and pitch. Like I wasn't, I didn't sit anyone down and say, "Hi, I need $10,000 and this is what I want to do." How they invested in me was hearing me talk about what I was doing and seeing me work. And this was for CJV, for the medical supplies business. I remember I would jump onto the bus and go buy stuff from SA and then come back. And in sharing what I was doing, in telling my story, and in just sharing how much I was making, I attracted the first investor. So it was really about them seeing my efforts and seeing how disciplined I was, and my communicating to them what I wanted to achieve. So it's the hard work, and I think most of all I can sum it up by communicating what I'm doing and being very honest and upfront about it without necessarily asking for money, maybe asking for advice. But definitely I didn't think I was at a stage where I could attract investment. And yet this person came to me and said, "How about if I could give you this much money so that you buy more stock than you're currently getting, and instead of going twice a week to SA, you can go twice a month, and then you can go once a month." And I was like, okay, this is good. I'm doing something right. And then the second person who came on board, I remember it was more or less the same thing. They had extra money, she had extra money, and she was moving on to another stage in her life. And she said, "You know what? I like what you're doing, and I would want to be a part of it." And I said, "Oh, okay, please do come through." And they joined. And to keep them on, because, and then I brought them on as shareholders. So to keep them on is a lot of communication, and they trusted me with their money and no direct involvement. So I'm still running the operations of the business, and I just had to report to them. So that transparency in reporting also kept them in and kept them putting more money in before they could take any money out. So consistent reporting and then getting the systems in place. I am not an accountant, oh my gosh, but I've had to learn to keep those books in order, to have those conversations, which I don't necessarily like to have. But just keeping everyone in the loop of what's going on has meant that when I need some more money, or when I need some more support, or when I need to set something else up or organize that meeting where it would be useful to have more than just me as the person going into that room, they've been on as shareholders and as investors. That was CJV. And then Medtours Africa, it was also more about just having someone share the vision. And I tell you what, when you see that happening, when you see someone buying into your vision, saying, "Yes, I do want people to access healthcare, and I think what you're doing is right. Let me put money in it," it's awesome. So after that, I have tried pitching at competitions and in a room full of investors. And strangely, that hasn't really given me money. That it's opened up doors to networks and to conversations, in-person conversations, which I've now had, but I've never raised money from pitching to a room of investors. Instead, I've attracted investors from from one-on-one interactions, and not necessarily pitching in that conversation, but just sharing what I'm doing and saying it with sincerity and authenticity, I believe, that has been what has got me the investors and the support.
Wow. Um, what you have shared now is really profound, because what you're saying is that you haven't intentionally gone out there to look for funding, but funding has found you whilst you are busy doing what you are doing with the resources that you have. And when you have shared your story with sincerity and authenticity, there are people that have generally just been attracted to come through and say, hey, we want to work with you, we want to partner with you in your business. And that actually is perhaps your best move in pitching, because when you do it intentionally, it hasn't worked. But when you just share your story, it kind of comes out pretty good. Um, Now, I want you to perhaps take us through that journey where you've been successful, and highlight some things that you think, some qualities that you think have helped you attract the funding that you have, and and perhaps mention some pitfalls that you think other people get onto because of either mistakes that they do, and therefore capital shies away and they can't be able to attract it into their business.
Okay, so the the journey really starts with a sort of like a track record, I guess. Some traction to show what it is I have done already, for like, especially for the first investor who came in. So I showed by communicating with them how much I had made from, from the few trips I'd made to SA. So that speaks to traction and what I was able to do with what I had. So that meant I'd also taken a risk with my own funds and with my own resources. And I'd made a sacrifice to actually leave what I'd trained in, aviation, and start on this journey of entrepreneurship. So that's one. Show traction and show what you can do with your own resources, because usually what I found out is an investor wants to put their money in if they see that you've also put something in. You have to show that you're also willing to put something valuable in it and not just want to risk the next person's money. And then there's the issue of clearly communicating what it is that you need. And sometimes there's the danger of
Looks like we are having connectivity challenges once again. Cheu was just sharing with us the first bit about how it's important for you to create traction, put some skin in the game, start doing something in your business with what you have and with the time that you have. If you show sacrifice, it's definitely going to count. And she's highlighted another point, which is clearly communicating what you need, what are the needs your business has. That also is a point where that helps you to be able to attract people who can partner with you financially. The other thing that she mentioned was just, telling your story with authenticity and honesty, not trying to brag, just saying what it is you have invested, how much time you have put in, what return you're getting on the work that you're doing. That kind of work kind of helps you to attract people to start working with you. So these learning experiences are really good for those of you who want to get into business, those of you who are thinking about attracting investments. And the first lesson is that the investors want to know what you've put in terms of time, in terms of commitment, in terms of sacrifice, and in terms of your own money. The investors definitely want to know that. And definitely they want you to be authentic. Most of the times, the other thing that I have learned from what Cheu is saying here is that your work pitches for you. Your work does the pitching for you. Sometimes you don't even have to go out looking when you are talking about your business and what you are doing. Some people then get interested in coming to partner with you. And that, is what is important. And the other thing that she mentioned is that once you have these investors in your business, the people that have invested some money in your business, what you've got to make sure you do at all times is to communicate, to be transparent, keep records, and show the progress that's happening in your business. Those 4 keys are very important. Communication and transparency once you get people who are working with you. But yes, the truth of it is that we have to first start on our own and make sure that we create the traction that we need for us to be able to attract investments. I can't get hold of Cheu again to come through and finish off this interview, but with these 4 points, I hope you've learned something, put some skin in the game, sacrifice something, do your work on your grind until there is something that starts happening there. Put time in it. Secondly, clearly communicate what it is that you need. You must know the needs of your business. Number 3, know that your work is doing your pitching for you. People are watching you, and because they're watching you, they might want to work with you. Sometimes the greatest pitch you're making is when you are not actually thinking that you're pitching. And make sure you communicate with your investors and you're transparent in the way that you deal with business. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending the Grand Scale Motivation Show. I was with Cheu Pswarayi, a healthcare industry business woman who has made waves in Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, and Zambia, working in medical tourism and helping people get access to healthcare, regardless of their geography or their place in life financially. Thank you very much for tuning in. Once again, please do have a fantastic holiday. Enjoy your Christmas and make sure you have a happy new year. Please stay safe. It's not time to, be reckless. It's time to be very careful with your life so that we get into the next year with all that we've got and we definitely enjoy it. This is it from the Grand Scale Motivation Show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.